Republicans on Capitol Hill are attempting to put a face on the IRS scandal.
6 men and women from conservative groups testified in front of Congress about the struggles they experienced applying for tax-exempt status.
9 on your side's Jason Law has more on the hearing and how Cincinnati remains at the center of this IRS scandal. Jason.
This was the 5th congressional hearing held so far on the ongoing IRS scandal. And if you watch it, once again, you heard Cincinnati brought up and mentioned over and over throughout the proceedings. For the first time today, though, on Capitol Hill, we heard from people who said that they were personally affected by the IRS overreach that occurred right here in the Queen City.
In October 2010, Becky Garriston says her Wetumpka Tea Party group applied for tax-exempt status. 90 questions and 635 days later, the IRS finally said okay.
I'm a born-free American woman, wife, mother, and citizen, and I'm telling my government that you've forgotten your place.
Garriston and 5 other members of conservative groups testified on Capitol Hill about their experience with the IRS.
This just smells, and I hope this committee gets to the bottom of it.
The focus remains right on the Cincinnati IRS office. Lawmakers have been trying for weeks to pin down who is responsible for organizing the list that singled out Tea Party and other conservative groups.
The Cincinnati staff of the IRS had questions about the law and how it was to be applied, and that they weren't given adequate guidance nor supervision.
What was once a mundane task of applying for tax-exempt status has now become a deeply political issue.
We're talking about whether or not the American taxpayers will subsidize your work. We're talking about a tax break. If you didn't come in and ask for this tax break, you would have never had a question asked of you.
So you're to blame, I guess, is the message here. Do you think that you were targeted based upon your political beliefs, your religious beliefs, or just because you chose to apply?
Our beliefs.
Now, not only was Cincinnati mentioned repeatedly throughout the hearing, but also the individual names of local IRS agents. We know at least 4 have been called to Capitol Hill to be interviewed behind closed doors. Today in the hearing, lawmakers called for many more IRS workers to be called to testify or at least give in interviews what they know. And now coming up all new at 6 o'clock, a whole nother problem, a whole new separate problem for the IRS. A new audit was released today going over IRS overspending, how much they've spent on individual employee conferences. And coming up, I'll have an all-new report at 6 o'clock detailing how Cincinnati is also connected to that possibly new IRS scandal. Jason Law, 9 on your side.
Thank you, Jason. South Fairmont